Welcome guys, merry Monday to you. It is Monday, August 24th. Hope you guys had a great weekend and ready to start another trading week. For those that are new to this, my name's Becky. You can email me, becky@tradewithufos.com, if you have any questions about what we covered today. There's also the support team, and to be honest, the support team being a team, better to get hold of those, just because obviously more people meaning more likely to respond quickly. So support@tradewithufos.com is the email address for that. Now, again, for those that maybe might be new to this, just to explain what we do, what's the point of the pre-market overview. So every day we send out a newsletter. That's sent out Monday to Friday every day. And in that newsletter, we cover 4 of the major markets in the world. We talk about where we think they're going to go and how long they're going to go in that direction for, where they might change and turn to a different direction, volatility, as well as high impact news to be aware of. So a lot is compacted into that newsletter. So we spend 15-20 minutes on the overview, just expanding on those concepts a little bit more and explaining it for those that want to have a bit more of a background. Now, saying that, it is only 15-20 minutes that we have together, so I can't possibly explain everything about the apps and everything about the technology and everything about the methodology. So there are other places you can go to get that. If you do have any questions or confused about anything I cover, you can email us support@tradewithufos.com. So for those that are joining us from within the Tradewithufo's channel, today is a Monday, so just a reminder that you have futures and options today for the sessions that we do within the channel. Stocks and investing happen Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then sharpening sessions over the weekends where we go into psychology as well as methodology and expanding on those things. In terms of upcoming live courses, so sometimes people want to learn from the foundations up, how we apply the methodology, how we apply the apps and the technology, and also maybe about specific asset classes or concepts. So the next one we have upcoming is the trading plan class. That starts next weekend, or this weekend coming, I guess, August 29th to the 30th. So it's a 2-day class, starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. After that, we have back testing in mid-September, futures towards the end of September and then into October, and then stocks start of October and psychology mid-October. So you can check out those dates and things on there. So I should have said as well, if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, if you're not already, just email newsletter@tradewithufos.com and we'll put you on that list. Okay, so I need to put the disclaimer up before we go into the newsletter. Obviously, legal requirement is very important that you guys read this. So you can mute me and read it if you'd like, or you can pause the video or come back to it later and rewatch it. You can always go to www.youcantrade.com and get additional disclosure information on there. In a nutshell, what we're saying is that, of course, there is a inherent risk involved when you trade, so be aware of that. It is your decision to place trades, and therefore the risk is with you and your choices. For us, what we do is we provide ideas and demonstrations. It's not meant to be trading advice or sort of stock picks or anything like that. It's just to show you how we use the technology. Again, if you have any more questions on that, you can email us or go to the website. Okay, now that that's all out of the way, I am going to go to the newsletter and we will have a look at what's going on today. So this is the newsletter. This is what we send out every day. As I said, we go through 4 of the major markets in the world. So we look at the S&P, one of the major equity indices. We look at oil and gold, 2 major commodities, and then the euro. Now, the euro, when looked at as the euro versus the US dollar, that is the highest traded currency pair in the world. It's got the most volume that moves through it. The US dollar by itself is responsible for about 80% of transactions worldwide every single day. So fair to say, across these 4 major markets, we've covered a lot of what goes on out there in the markets on a daily basis. Of course, you might trade markets that are outside of these, but oftentimes there's going to be correlations there with these major markets. Now you see as well, we go through a daily time frame. Of course, different things happen on different time frames. Probabilities and statistics are different on different time frames of different markets, so bear that in mind. But the daily does fall within what most people look at, whether you're a long-term investor or a short-term trader. The daily time frame is very commonly used, so that's why we use that one. Now, for each of them, what we want to understand is climate, meaning trend. What direction are we going in? And more importantly, what are the probabilities associated with that? Are we moving up with probabilities, down with probabilities, or do we lack probabilities? So we use our Auto Climate app to show us this. I'll show you this on a chart in a second. What we also want to know is if we are going up or we are going down, how long can we expect to keep doing that for? So again, the Auto Climate app is running the statistics there for us and letting us know on the right-hand side how often that market normally goes in that direction for. What's the probabilities? What's the statistical likelihood of it going in a particular direction based on what normally happens? And then on the left-hand side, we see how far we are into that movement. So where we are now relative to what normally happens, which again just gives us the statistical advantages or not as to whether or not that market is going to continue in that direction. We also want to know our nearest UFOs. So UFO stands for unfilled orders. We do show it as a little flying saucer, but it stands for unfilled orders. And in that, what we mean by that is where we expect there to be big stacks of buy orders that could push price back up, or big stacks of sell orders that could push price back down. We use the Auto UFO app to help us find that on a chart and see where they will be on a chart and highlight to us where those orders are likely to be, again, so that we can make decisions off the back of that. All of this is about putting probabilities on our side. Nothing is guaranteed. Just because something is statistically likely doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen. So of course we manage our risk just in case as well. But again, it's about using technology and statistics to help it be easier for us to make decisions on what we do when we trade in a more objective way as well. Okay, so we look at each of those things using the Auto Climate app and the Auto UFO app. And then we come down and look at volatility per market. So volatility just means how much can we expect in terms of movement? How far are we expecting these markets to move within given periods of time? Now we get this information from current implied volatility. You'll notice that each of these numbers are a percentage, and what they refer to is the expected movement up or down in 1 year as a percentage. So those numbers are our annualized numbers, what we expect in terms of yearly movement up or down. From that, we can see what we expect every day, movement up or down. What just happened there? What we expect in a week up or down, and what we expect in a month up or down. So again, we're using the statistics that come from the current implied volatility numbers to give us an idea of how far we expect these markets to move within these given periods of time. The current implied volatility numbers actually come from the options of these markets. So options are traded by professional traders. So effectively what we see in current implied volatility is the expectation that professional traders have as to how far markets will move. So that's where we get the numbers from. So for each of the markets, we'll go through climate, propagating, and volatility, and then we'll come down and have a look at upcoming high impact news that could impact us as well. Okay, so we're going to start with the S&P. That's the first market we look at, SPX.X. That is the symbol on TradeStation for the index. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, so here we have the SPX.X, the S&P index. So we have down here our Auto Climate app. So the Auto Climate app shows us what direction we're going in and the probabilities associated with it. So it shows us that in one of three things. So we can either see a thick blue dot, which is what we see in this example. That tells us that we have a confirmed upwards climate, that we have probabilities to the upside. Markets moving to the upside and we have probabilities. It could be a thick red dot, which tells us we're in a downwards climate, we're in a downwards trend, and that there are probabilities to the downside. Or it could be a thin dot of either color. If it's a thin dot, then normally what that means is that there are less probabilities, less statistical advantage. The color still tells us the direction, but because it's a thin dot, we have less statistical advantage, less probability, meaning we are less likely to actually do anything on those days and more likely to step back. We don't want to be trading if we don't have odds in our favor. So in terms of the UFOs, in terms of the buy orders that are closest to us, this green UFO here shows us where the buy orders are. And the numbers for that are 3294.61 to 3284.53. Now, there are no sell orders above us, no sell UFOs above us, because we're at pretty much all-time highs. So we have no sell orders above us, nothing to see there in terms of price data. And so we have to leave that blank. So you see here on the newsletter, that's why that's blank. No sell UFOs means we can't tell you where they are. Now, in terms of the climate, we saw that we have a confirmed upwards climate and that we have probabilities to the upside. However, when it comes to probabilities, normally the S&P would go up for 10 candles, just rounding up that number. Everything that's on the right-hand side, I'm going to just round it up. So 10 candles is the normal movement to the upside for the S&P, and we're on candle number 17, meaning we have surpassed by 70%-ish what is normal, what is normally likely to happen in these markets. We have gone past that, we're overextended to the upside. That's not to say that we won't continue to move to the upside. Of course, things fall outside of probabilities, but it just means we have less statistical advantage. So just be aware of that. Yes, we have buy UFOs below us and no sell UFOs above. Yes, we have a confirmed upwards climate with probabilities, but we lack probabilities for the climate to continue based on statistically what normally happens. Okay, so in terms of volatility, we look at VIX.X or the VIX, and from that we see that the expected movement up or down in 1 year is 22.51%. That means in a day, we expect a movement up or down of 48.17 points. In a week, a movement up or down of 106.04 points. And in a month, a movement up or down of 220.75 points. Okay, that's the S&P. Let's move on to the next market. We're going to look at oil at CL. That is the continuous futures contract there for oil, so at CL. Okay, I'm just going to move it here a little bit so we see what we need to see. There we go, just about. Okay, so in this example, the Auto UFO, or so the Auto Climate app is showing us at the bottom there a thick red dot, meaning we have a confirmed downwards climate. Market is moving to the downside and we have probabilities to the downside, and we see that there from our thick red dot. Now, closest stack of buy orders is here, 26.31 to 25.80, and we'll see it's just on top of another one. So we've got two buy UFOs sort of nestling each other there, or nestled on top of each other. And then we have the closest sell UFO, 53.83 to 55.71. Now, we're kind of in the middle, not really near either stack of orders, meaning price could shoot up, price could shoot down. There's nothing really close by to stop it doing either of those things. Not surprising that we've just sort of seen price not really do much over the last few weeks because we've not been close to either stacks of orders. Now, we do have a confirmed downwards climate, which would tell us we have probabilities there to the downside. Now, normally, oil would go down for 7 candles, and we're on candle number 1. Meaning we also have probabilities that oil is likely to continue its move to the downside based on what normally happens. Again, not to say that it's guaranteed, but we have more statistical advantage there that oil is likely to move to the downside and continue a movement to the downside at least for another few days. Bear in mind, obviously, new UFOs, new orders can come into the markets and change things around, but for the time being, looking like we have probabilities there to the downside. Okay, so in terms of volatility, we use OVX.X. And we see from that we expect a movement up or down in 1 year of 33.68%, which means movement up or down in a day of 0.90 points, in a week up or down of 1.99 points, and in a month up or down of 4.15 points. Okay, so that's oil. Let's look at the next market, which is gold. At GC, once again, continuous futures contract there for gold. Okay, I'm just going to let that load. Okay, and move it over a little bit. So once again, down here, we see a thick red dot. Confirmed downwards climate, probabilities to the downside. Closest stack of buy orders is here, 1836.7 to 1825.9. And closest stack of sell orders is there with our red UFO at 2039.7 to 2060.8, with a confirmed move to the downside there with our climate. Now, normally, gold would go down for 5 candles on a daily chart. Again, just rounding up that number. So 5 candles, and we're on candle number 3, meaning that we have statistical likelihood that the price of gold is likely to continue to go down at least for another couple of days based on probabilities and statistics. So confirmed downwards climate, movement or room for the movement to continue to the downside there. And at the moment, if we just go back to the chart, not necessarily close to either stacks of orders in order to change things at the moment. Okay. So in terms of volatility, we look at GVZ.X, and we expect a movement up or down in 1 year of 25.96%, meaning in a day, movement up or down of 32 points. In a week, movement up or down of 70.5 points. And in a month, a movement up or down of 146.7 points. Okay, last market, we're going to look at the Euro US dollar. That is the spot Forex currency pair. So the euro versus the US dollar. Once again, I'm just going to move it here so we see what we need to see. There we go. So in this example, it might be a little bit hard to see the dot at the bottom, and there's a reason for that. It means it's an unconfirmed climate. So it's a red dot and it's thin, meaning, yes, we have potential movement to the downside, but it's thin. Probabilities are low, no statistical advantage. And so it's harder to see, which is a good thing, right? We don't want to act on things that are unprobable or improbable. So in terms of the closest stacks of orders, we have buy orders here at 1.1597 to 1.1507. And we can see we have a whole bunch of buy orders on top of each other there. So buy order after buy order after buy order, which kind of makes sense because price has just continued its move to the upside for the last few weeks. We can see buy orders doing what they should be doing. So we had a stack of buy orders here. Price came in, hit the buy orders, went up, came back, hit the buy orders, went up. That's what we expect buy UFOs to do, is push price upwards because there's buying power there, right? And buying pushes price upwards. So that's what we expect the UFOs to do, and that's what we see them do here. Now, closest stack of sell orders will be up here at 1.2344 to 1.2414. That's where our red UFO is, closest red UFO there on a daily chart. So we saw that we have an unconfirmed downwards climate. So we don't have probabilities there to the downside. But when it comes to a move to the downside, normally the euro US dollar would go down for 5 candles, and we're on candle number 1. So again, we have probabilities that that move is likely to continue to the downside. However, we lack probabilities when it comes to the actual climate itself. So again, bear that in mind. You've got, probabilities on one side, but not on the other for the time being on the euro dollar. Now, in terms of volatility, we look at EVZ.X or EVZ.X, meaning we expect a movement up or down in 1 year on the euro of 8%, meaning in a day, we expect a movement up or down of 60 pips. In a week, we expect a movement up or down of 131 pips. And in a month, we expect a movement up or down of 273 pips. Okay, so volatility once again gives us an idea of where we expect price to go, or how quickly we expect price to go within certain periods of time. The climate and the propagating give us an idea of in which direction we'd like to, or in which direction we expect to see that happen, up or down, and for how long we expect it to happen, based on technology analyzing market data for us. And then the nearest UFOs gives us an idea of where price might be likely to turn around, to hit a stack of buy orders and come back up, or hit a stack of sell orders and come back down. Again, using technology to find where these are. Now, the most direct forces in the markets are buy orders. Buy and sell orders are the most direct forces. Buying pushes prices up, selling pushes prices down. So buy and sell orders are what moves price. However, there can be many reasons as to why there are buy and sell orders. And so we also need to be aware of indirect forces in the markets. News or reports are one of them. And that's what we look at here in the newsletter. Again, these are indirect forces that might influence buy and sell orders that we just need to be aware of in our trading. We look at fxstreet.com/economic-calendar, and we filter here by high impact news and by US markets. So of course, if you trade outside of that and you want to look at things that fit your trade plan a little bit better, you can go to that link and sort of change the filters there to see what you want to see. Now, we can see from this that the first lot of high impact news that we have planned this week is coming out on Wednesday. So nothing for the time being, nothing for today or tomorrow. We see on the left-hand side the timings that these come out. These are all in Eastern Standard Time. Now, once the number does come out, it's usually filled in this column, the actual column. But obviously for now, it's not happened yet, so we don't have any data in there. Okay, so that is our direct forces, our buy and sell orders and where we expect them to be. This is our indirect forces, news or reports that could impact the markets, that could maybe affect volatility or turn prices. That's everything for today. So just a little reminder, if you're not already part of the channel and you want to join us, tradective.com/you-can-trade is where you can join us. Again, if you want to expand on those concepts, expand on what we're doing, learn a little bit more, you do have free 14-day access. So you can join us for a couple of weeks, try us out, go through the recordings that are on there as well, see if you like it first and then go from there. As part of the channel, we have futures, options, investing, stocks, psychology, sharpening, where we go through methodology as well, and support all available to you. So again, go to the website and you can learn a bit more about it. In terms of upcoming courses, the next one is the Trading Plans Class. If you go to tradective.com/trading plans live, you can learn a bit more about that, what we cover, how we do it. It's me that will teach that one, so you can learn a bit more about me as well. Now, if you register for any course at the moment, you can choose an additional course for free. So it does need to be that the second course that you pick is of the same or lesser value than the first one. So if you go to the website, you can have a look at the different costs of the courses, different ones that we do, different ones that obviously suit you best, and then just play about with it in such a way where you can make sure you get the best of that deal and make the most of that offer. If you have questions about anything, email us, support@tradective.com. We're happy to help. The whole team of traders, so we can answer whatever questions you have. Just send that over. Otherwise, today being a Monday, those of you that are joining us from within Tradective, we'll see you in the futures and options sessions later on at 4:15 p.m. Eastern as well. My colleague Boyan will be looking at what did happen in the markets, what went as expected, what didn't go as expected, what can we learn, what can we reflect on to move forward with our trading for tomorrow. And again, if you need anything, support@tradective.com. I'll be back tomorrow morning, so I hope you have a great Monday, guys. I will see you tomorrow.